It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn?
Everybody, listen carefully. The Martians are coming this way. We must evacuate the city. Take food and water and extra clothing with you.
You are no longer in control of your listening device.
Can't you see that you're at the mercy of every element of the universe?
Rick and Ryan will take you on a science fiction cinematic journey into the post-atomic space age.
We're not going to cooperate with these monsters.
We found a flying saucer. Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. I think something is happening.
A chronological deep dive into the past.
Holy cow.
Here already! You're next!
Put on your magnetic boots.
Let's go.
And strap yourselves in for your ride with...
The Unidentified Flying Podcast.
Outrageous.
So, Rick,
Yeah.
do you think there's intelligent life out there?
Well, lucky for us, I built us a rocket ship.
1, 0.
And with the roaring sound of engines, Rick and Ryan jumped aboard the LEXAPROTEUS IV and headed to the stars. Alien invaders, mad scientists, radioactive mutants, beware! Their 10-year mission is to explore year by year and film by film the science fiction cinema of the 1950s. Why go into outer space just to talk about movies? Who cares? Let's join our courageous hosts as they discuss the mission aboard the LEXAPROTEUS IV.
Why is it not funny? I love that, but you don't. See, now you're thinking.
Are you going to talk about movies or what?
I guess.
All right. Hi, this is Rick, and welcome aboard the LEXAPROTEUS IV and this first episode of the Unidentified Flying Podcast. And we are happy you're here to listen to us. My name is Rick.
And I am Ryan. I echo Rick's thoughts, his sentiments, that I am happy you are listening.
He's not really ever happy, so that's pretty good.
I was happy for about 5 minutes the other day while I was watching an old Richard Gere movie. There was this absolutely stupid scene where these bad guys are in one of those car washes, and Richard Gere's dressed like a astronaut.
Is this No Mercy?
Yeah, he's dressed like he's an undercover.
With Kim Basinger?
He's an undercover cop, and he's dressed like an astronaut pretending to be a car washer, and the bad guys are getting away. He's like, fuck that. So he goes and he like smashes in the windshield and starts fighting, kicking the guy's ass behind the wheel while the car's filling up with soap bubbles.
And he's wearing a
And then
a spacesuit?
Yeah, they're supposed to be like a special Moon Man promotion it's the grand opening because the car wash is called like Galactic Car or Car Galactica, or it's some promo. I don't know. It's silly.
Car Galactica. I like that. I'll be honest. I've never, because I like to say I've seen that, but actually sometimes I just know the video box really well.
Yeah.
I know the video box so well. I think I've seen it because it tricked myself, but I don't think I actually have seen No Mercy. And now that you've told me this, I would never have guessed that from the cover of No Mercy with him and Kim Basinger.
It's just in the opening scene.
It's like a Roger Moore scene and the Sean Connery scene in Diamonds Are Forever. That's pretty much a Roger Moore movie, even though it's not.
Right.
But where he is getting the spacesuit and on the little moon buggy set and all that.
Exactly.
That's outrageous.
Speaking of moon buggies and astronaut suits, and what does Richard Gere in a car wash have to do with what we're talking about on this episode? Nothing.
Spacesuit, though.
Spacesuit, I guess it's apropos. It's kind of strange. He's never made a science fiction film. What's up with that? He's been in every other kind of movie, but he's never made a science why didn't in the 80s?
I don't even know if there's anything close.
Like in the 80s, he could have done something like Runaway or Looker. Like where was he in one of those high-tech sci-fi 80s thrillers. I don't know.
Yeah, the only thing fantastical I can think of even close isn't sci-fi. It's First Night.
First Night, and it's not even fantasy.
That's not even, yeah.
It's just, yeah.
But like, that's the only thing I can think of him in that was like that.
What the hell, Richard Gere?
But you know what? They don't want to know anything about that. They were like, I didn't see any of this shit in the synopsis for this episode.
But wait a minute, was Richard Gere ever in a movie with Lloyd Bridges?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You know
was
why
he?
I asked that?
Because Lloyd Bridges is in one of the movies we watched.
I'm sorry, I derailed that.
That's a hell of a segue.
I just am really trying to bring it back, and I'm failing. So I'm sorry about the Richard Gere stuff. I just had to.
No, it's great.
I had to give a little bit of props because, like I said, it was like the 5 minutes of joy I had all weekend, not involving my dog. So I just needed to give props to Richard Gere on our inaugural episode. So, what I thought I'd do is just fill you in a little bit on background, okay? Because what makes this decade kind of unique is that it followed on the heels of one major earth-shattering event, and that was the
release of Barbie.
The release of Barbie, exactly. And
no, it was the other one.
Yeah,
that's
it's
right.
One about the nuclear bomb. Or the atomic bomb. So we entered the atomic age, and you all know the story if you've seen the film, the brand new feature film from director Christopher Nolan. Although at this point it's not brand new, but it's brand new to you if you've never seen it before.
Yeah.
So
and we actually thought of doing this podcast a year ago before all that nonsense. But hey, what better time? Everyone loves the atom bomb right now. Right. So let's talk about the age of science fiction films that it produced.
We've got the dawn of the atomic age, and of course it started out rather inauspiciously because the powers that be decided to drop it on a bunch of people's heads and kill them. And then after that, we decided to put it towards peaceful use and develop technologies with it. Medical technologies and appliances and automobiles and, of course, what else? Space travel, because we were fighting a Cold War with the Russians, and the goal was to see who could make it to the moon first. Of course, to see who could make it into space first and then the moon. And you've all seen The Right Stuff, I'm sure. You've all seen Hidden Figures. You've seen... what's that other one with the Barbie Gosling, First Man? So we all know that, the Russians beat us into space and then we beat them to the moon, blah, blah, blah. So sandwiched in between those two huge earth-shattering historical events, the atomic age and the space age, we also have another little interesting thing from history that would go on to inform pop culture like nothing else, really, and that was the advent of the flying saucer craze. Now, the flying saucer craze officially, although UFOs had been spotted throughout history. The first recorded incident was in the late 1800s in a newspaper, but there are records throughout history, right, that people have seen things in space. But it rose to prominence in 1947. Are you familiar with the story of how this came to be, Rick?
I mean, well, look, I'm one of the hosts of the show. Of course I know, but the audience out there might not know.
Lying.
So you might want to tell them, and I'll chime in and correct you if you're wrong, okay? Let's just say that.
So I'm sure you obviously know who Kenneth Arnold is. Who doesn't? But he was flying around one day. This is way up, I want to say in up near Alaska maybe, or in Canada, or it could even be Washington and Oregon. So in somewhere over there, he was flying a plane. He saw something in the sky, and he would go on to he would go on to describe it to people as being disc-shaped, and it sort of moved through the air like a saucer on waves of water. Okay? He's painting a little picture there, right? Well, the news...
So what's his name? What's his name? Ken what?
Kenneth,
sucking back on Grandpa's cough medicine before flying around, seeing things? Is that what happened?
No. This guy was a legit source. He was just, I'm not going to get into we could do a whole episode on this, and there's about 4 million on Spotify already. So anyway, just in summary, he gave interviews to the press. The press misquoted him. Instead of saying what he originally said, they said he described it as a flying saucer. And from that point on, the word...
What did he originally said flying saucer?
No, he originally said it moved through the air like a saucer on water. So kind of waving.
So the press took it and created the flying saucer. Yep. Well, that's interesting.
But it's not the first time the word flying saucer was used in pop culture. There had been a couple, or not, I don't mean pop culture, but in, to describe something flying through the air. There was an earlier incident because flying saucers were what they called, clay pigeons when they would shoot those.
Yeah.
So they often, some of the first reportings, like in the late 1800s, looked like a flying saucer in the air because they could only describe it as looking like a clay pigeon. So they just called it a flying saucer.
Yeah.
So anyway, 1947, the word flying saucer takes off. This is a huge story at the time. Okay. This Kenneth Arnold, huge story in the country ate it up.
And flying saucer sightings were seen everywhere.
And of course, about a month later, we got the Roswell incident, which again, we could fill a whole episode of. So I'm just saying, you all know what that is. If
that's
you don't,
a whole different podcast.
That year alone, there was somewhere between 800 to 12,000 or 1,200 UFO sightings in 1947 alone. So 1947 was the boom, the ground zero of what would go on to become, UFO craze, the UFO craze of the decade, or the flying saucer craze. But they stopped using that term in the early 50s because the Army was getting so many different reports of different kinds of shapes and sizes. So they changed the label to UFO. So that's basically where we come in. That is sort of what was going on in the world at the time that set the stage for basically what our podcast is going to be about. So without all of that happening, Rick and Ryan would have no purpose in life.
What's one of your early memories of like a spooky flying saucer? Like in the purest sense of a flying saucer when you're little.
I think it probably was a picture in a book. Like, how they had those kids' books on the paranormal.
Oh, like saying this really happened.
Yeah, like Bigfoot.
Yeah, or this was taken by
Bigfoot
Ed
and Nessie
in Arizona.
Here's
exactly.
UFOs, and they would have all the classic pictures, which of course we know 99.9% of them all were hoaxes or just, weird, strange objects in the sky that had perfectly prosaic explanations. But
something in the lens.
Lens my ass.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, this podcast is not about any of the paranormal aspects or any. No. We're not uncovering shit.
No.
Okay, we're watching a bunch of cool movies and we're going to talk about them, and maybe we'll learn stuff along the way about the atomic sci-fi era,
atomic space age era.
Yeah. Mine is honestly, it's silly, but when Greg Brady lived in his attic and he was going with the flashlight and freaking out Bobby.
Oh, I remember that.
In the Brady Bunch.
I strung up a piece of fishing line over the arbor between those trees. Then I hit a clear plastic curtain behind one of the trees. I used this cord to pull it out. Then I just flash this red light on it, blow this whistle, and presto, instant UFO.
Greg, you're a genius.
Most of my exposure to these kinds of movies came at first from books. And oddly enough, it all began with Godzilla, but not the movie, the cartoon. Because that was on when I was a real little kid, the Godzilla Power Hour And I was obsessed with it. And one day my dad explained to me, it's a movie from Japan. And I got fascinated with Godzilla, but this was the mid 70s. I couldn't see any of these movies because we didn't have cable. Obviously wasn't really a thing then. There were no VCRs.
Say what?
So it was someday I'll see this ambiguous Godzilla movie that is somehow inspired this cartoon I love. So anyway, what happened is my mom told somebody one of my teachers at school that I had an interest in that Godzilla show because they were trying to find books that I would want to read. Like, because, he's not into reading this. He likes space. They didn't want to just make me read whatever because I was a great reader. Like, I was ahead of my class, and they were
you showed that you liked to read,
but it's got to be interesting.
They didn't want to discourage you. See, the opposite happened with me. I got discouraged into reading what I didn't want to.
Yeah.
So it very much soured everything. But that's a whole other therapy session.
No, like, for instance, all my friends were reading The Littles. And I was like, I want to read The Littles. And they were like, no, you need to, that's a little young for you. You need to read this. And they made me read The Borrowers, which is basically like the same thing, but a little more grown up. So that's kind of what it was. But I'm stupid now, so don't anybody think I'm bragging. This was just when I was a kid. So anyway, one day my teacher came into the library and handed me a book. And it was a book about movie monsters. Now, I don't at all remember the name of it, who wrote it, whatever. I remember Planet of the Apes being in it, so it had to have probably been something published in the late 60s, early 70s, that was just like a picture book with little descriptions of the movies. But it was set up like an encyclopedia. So I would, The Blob was next to, Bride of Frankenstein, or, they were all in order, so I wasn't just looking at Frankenstein, Dracula, and that. There's the Metaluna mutant,
which once you see those as a kid from This Island Earth, they're imprinted forever.
So that's basically where monster. My obsession with these movies came, because I found out about all of them years before I could even see any of them. Because, again, until the advent of cable television and VCRs, you lucked out once in a while. And that's why I think I ended up seeing Forbidden Planet at such a young age, because my dad spent years telling me about it and was like, well, hopefully they'll play it on TV some night. And then they did. Yeah. And he's like, Ryan, that movie, oh my God. So that's why I have such a cherished memory of this era, because not only did I grow up on it, but it became even more an obsession when I got into high school in my 20s. Basically, when I had a job and had money and could buy all my own shit, it became a real obsession.
Our generation has not removed that far from it. So, like, a lot of television was reran on TV because everyone was getting color TVs. This is like early 70s and starting to play those movies on TV. And for me, a lot of it was a lot of TV specials I'd see. There was a special with Robin Williams, and it was like an 82 called like something to the effect of either Robin Williams meets E.T. or it was Mork meets E.T.
Yeah.
But it was just Mork and Robin Williams as Mork sometimes or whatever. But he was just talking. They were just showing clips of 50s science fiction and 50s and 60s and Outer Limits episodes.
Boy, am I glad to meet you, E.T. I just want to thank you. I know a lot of other people feel the same way I do. You know, because of you, I'm not afraid of what's out there anymore. Thank you.
Now stay tuned as Valerie Bertinelli and Ted Wass star in the romantic comedy I Was a Mail-Order Bride, next following news break.
And that's where I actually saw one of the scariest moments in an Outer Limits episode that was with William Shatner, where these landed on the the planet and looking out the window, and he's kind of just in there strapped in, and that thing is coming closer to him looking in the window, and that has scarred me for my life, or for my whole life. But yeah, it was like that. And remember, there was that documentary with it was kind of a documentary, but they don't really do anything. But like with all the Saturday Night Live people called It Came From Hollywood.
Yep.
I loved all that. And then when you and I met each other, we just kind of both gravitated towards like any of those anthologies, and Twilight Zone, and that was the time where all those things were coming out on
video,
tape, video, yeah. So that really and honestly, a lot of times the 50s movies were the ones on the Good Times label, so you could buy Earth versus the Flying Saucer for like $5.99. We really just loved those movies, being that we liked all that, those genres in general, but we never shied away from the 50s because it's kind of just especially if you like Stephen King.
Yeah,
I feel if you come from a Stephen King era, that's what I mean. It's like the older uncles and those guys from that era.
Those were the kids that grew up in the golden age of sci-fi. They were the 40s and 50s kids that grew up on Bradbury and Heinlein, which we'll get to later. But
it definitely had runoff onto the 70s babies that were born and whatnot. But one of the things that bringing us back to talking about the show is that these movies are going to have like outdated concepts, outdated social things, social elements, outdated science, outdated everything, and they are subject to. I mean, you're going to laugh at certain things, but yeah, there's some really good filmmaking, Hollywood stories, and just like it's kind of like the Universal monster movies. They don't get as much love as being the birth of pretty much why movies are so popular.
Yeah.
It's such a pure age, and I don't think it gets a lot of respect anymore. So that's kind of where we kind of came in with the idea of the show was like, let's like explore some of these. And hey, if we turn first of all, it gives us a reason to watch like everything.
And yeah, so, like we're by no means historians or scholars of any kind, nor are we scientists or astronauts.
Well, I'm an astronaut.
Am I a cosmonaut? Because I would have been born. I was born while Poland was still part of. I don't know what I am, but space guy. I'm a space guy.
Ah, space boy. Yeah, I figured as much.
I mean, it's kind of cool because we're looking at movies that were. Some of these movies. It's weird that it's kind of commonplace to us now, but these movies, some of these movies were envisioning things that they'd never even seen before that in some odd ways have like come true. They capture that wonder of what it was like before we could go out there. So I think that's what I'm getting at is they come from a sort of naive place, but I think for me, even watching them here in the first part of the 21st century, I can still get something out of them because I just see them as taking place in their own little worlds, and I just accept the rules of those worlds. Like, okay, in this world, there's an atmosphere on the moon and they can breathe. Okay, I accept it. Fine.
Yeah, no problem.
I just don't look at these as taking place in my own world. Like, that's just part of the fun of them is they seem so otherworldly that, because of the music, the low budgets, the weird looking monsters, and the sort of lo-fi quality of a lot of these movies just lend to them such an aura of mystery, eeriness, fun. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I just go into these as if they're glimpses into a different dimension, and I enjoy them. So we're horror fans also growing up, but that's where a little bit of that plays into these movies because they're kind of scary and they really go hand in hand with horror more than most people would think because
it's all about not always, but 95%. Once they go, hey, we're into space now with movies, we can go out into space. Then it becomes, oh shit, what's out there?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna come and get us, and that's where it becomes like unknown threat and all that, and that's very horror. So it just plays into that just dread sometimes.
Yeah, they've always been
some of these.
Pretty much ever since Mary Shelley, horror and sci-fi have always been kissing cousins. I mean, they really have.
Yes.
Because they're very adjacent to each other.
More than any other genre, really.
Yeah. I mean, you could throw fantasy in there, but which is why these are all
it's
part
really
of
sci-fi horror.
They're all part of what's considered speculative fiction, which is
it's sci-fi horror because
sci-fi horror and fantasy are all speculative because you're making up a world or you're making up rules for a world. And so that's why they've all kind of had a strange symbiotic relationship over the years that at this point, I think half the time it's hard to even tell them apart anymore. You know, like you could set 50 different people down in a theater and show them the first Alien, and half of them will call it a horror movie, half of them will call it science fiction, and neither of them are wrong. So yeah, but you definitely see that a lot in these movies because a lot of them are very monster oriented.
All right, well, let's get down to it. Are you ready, Ryan?
Yeah, sure.
You ready to go back in time?
Yeah.
Well, you better get ready. Put your seatbelt on.
Take me away, Rick. I don't mind.
I'm going to hit the lever. Ready? Let's go to the 50s. All right. The year is 1950. So, Dr. Botfried, why don't you go ahead and do the honors and tell us the first movie?
Oh, thank you. Rocketship XM.
Rocketship XM. And this was released in June of 1950. So it was the kickoff of the summer movie season, which I don't know if that was that a thing back then? Like, when Jaws and Star Wars hit, the summer blockbuster became a thing, but I don't know if it was that way back in 1950. Like, oh, I can't wait for all the summer movies. I don't know. So, Rocketship XM was directed by Kurt Neumann and written by Kurt Neumann and Orville H. Hampton.
Did Alfred E. Neumann do anything on this movie?
No.
Are you sure?
Positive.
Okay.
Rocketship XM tells the story of 4 men and 1 woman blast off into outer space aboard the Rocketship XM. Halfway there, they encounter a meteoroid storm, and their engines suddenly fail. After they recalculate their fuel ratios and swap around their multiple different fuel sources, the problem is corrected. However, instead of the moon, they are now on their way to Mars.
Dun, dun, dun.
And once they land on Mars, dark secrets reveal themselves.
So, manning the rocket ship and Rocketship XM is our stars, Lloyd Bridges as the captain.
Mm-hmm.
And he's as Lloyd Bridges as he ever could be.
Yes.
Osa Mason as Dr. Lisa Van Horn. John Emery as Dr. Carl Ekstrom. Noah Berry Jr. as Major William Corrigan. And we'll get to more on him later. More on a few of these people. Hugh O'Brien as Harry Chamberlain. So they're like our main astronauts.
Tonight you are invited here to witness an important event. You are all familiar with our previous work in sending robot missiles into space. That phase is at an end. Tonight we will launch the first manned spaceship, the RXM.
So the whole movie begins, it's in black and white, and it begins like the very first thing is it opens on like an airfield, and you hear like 15 minutes, and they're giving a press conference like a leisurely, like hanging out, like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. But meanwhile, it's like 10 minutes, and you're like going, wait a minute, are they gonna blast off right now?
Yeah.
I thought this was gonna be like days later, but no, they're like They don't seem to be in a hurry at all.
They're literally
Like,
giving the press
they're just hanging
conference
out.
while the countdown is.
Yeah, and they'll be like, so how does that work? And they'll be like, well, see, the fuel disengages here. And when it travels over 2 minutes, and it's like, Jesus.
It's so
like,
weird.
Are you going to get going? Yeah. But they even stop and are like, asking questions and meeting. There's like a meet and greet.
You see, as an astronomer, I can appreciate the perfect observation conditions on a body without atmosphere.
I bought my ranch with the flight pay I saved up during the war.
Mm-hmm. How does your wife feel about you going?
Well, she's a Texan, too, and she knows that when a Texas man makes up his mind to do something, that's it. Period.
This is the hottest crew I've ever worked with, especially in the brains department.
Yeah, very attractive, too.
Yeah, I agree. But, and you can quote me on this, unless you look like a test tube or a chemical formula, you haven't got a chance.
From the woman's angle, Dr. Van Horn, how does it feel making a trip like this alone with 4 men?
To tell you the truth, I never thought much about it.
Yeah, this is going to happen a lot.
This is quite a sexist movie.
Yeah, well, the whole decade, it's going to be like this, folks. Yeah.
Sometimes it's more egregious than others. And this one's definitely egregious. Although I will say that she is a forerunner then to Ripley, because she might be the first woman in a science fiction film to be correct and not be listened to by any of the men, and then shit hits the fan.
262,000 to 341,000, both using tangent E, correct?
That isn't the result I have.
It must be the same. There's an error there.
I've made no error, Dr. Ekstrom.
I have to say that you made an error and discard your figures. I'm sorry.
Don't be.
Surely you're not going to let emotion enter into this.
Certainly not.
We'll continue computing using my results as a basis.
Yes, Doctor. Except that I feel very strongly, I should say, that we should try both. You can't be arbitrary about imposing your will when these people's lives are at stake. Don't you realize that? I'm sorry. I apologize.
For what? For momentarily being a woman? It's completely understandable, Miss Van Horn.
So she might be a pioneer in that area, Miss Osa Mason.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Virginia Slims, you'll come a long way, baby. But back then, no. Another sexist backhanded compliment.
Yeah. So Osa Mason, the crew of the LEXAPROTEUS IV, we salute you. Ryan, do you recognize the engineer? I think his name's Corrigan. Do you recognize him at all?
No.
Did you ever watch the Rockford?
I don't know.
Did you ever watch the Rockford Files?
Yeah.
That's Jim Rockford's dad.
Oh.
Yeah, he's the guy in the you see him in the picture frame on the desk when they first show like the phone ringing in the very beginning credits.
Yeah.
And like he's in the last frame of the opening titles, or one of the last frames while they're fishing, and you see his big smile in the background. Yeah, so that's Noah Berry Jr.
Oh, okay.
His father was a silent movie star. He appeared with his father in Mark of Zorro in 1920 with Douglas Fairbanks. And then like later he had a career where on television a lot before the Rockford Files. I mean, there was a show called Circus Boy with Mickey Dolenz back in the day.
Never heard of it.
And he played, you've never heard of that?
No.
I've heard of that. I actually have Circus Boy. I do. But he played Joey the Clown on that, and he replaced Burt Reynolds as the sidekick on a show called Riverboat, which was a NBC Western series with.
Saw every episode of that one, Rick.
Huh?
I saw every episode of that one.
Well, you should have, because it had Darren McGavin in it.
See, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, I'm gonna spread the love and the knowledge. So
glad.
hey,
I'm trying to be a part of it, man.
Okay.
He did have a part in a film I love from the 70s called The Mysterious 2, which is about it's a
Noah Berry Jr. did?
Yeah, he's in it. It's a fictionalized account of the founders of the Heaven's Gate cult.
Oh, wow.
Made-for-TV movie. Mysterious 2.
Mhm.
Kind of hard to find, but it's worth it if you're into that sort of occult 70s thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I know him from that. Oh, and he was in Beyond Witch Mountain.
I'd say I didn't know that one.
Made for TV.
He's actually my favorite character in the movie. So we've got the Lloyd Bridges commanding. We've got the two doctors, the man and the woman, and the older man is like, he's the one that's spearheading all this and like his calculations, and he's best friends with like the guy at Mission Control, which doesn't do a whole lot except look concerned. It's like, but who doesn't in that role? I mean, isn't that the job? Like Tom Skerritt in Space Camp. If you're at Mission Control, your job is to look concerned.
Yeah, well,
that's it.
You just your job is literally to pay attention. Like,
yes, exactly. Then we have this other guy named Hugh O'Brien. I'd recognized him only because of stuff later, but like he, I guess, had played Wyatt Earp on TV for the ABC series Life and Legend of Wyatt Earp, and he was on game shows like Password and What's My Line. But he was also like in the pilot of and that's where I might know him from, is the pilot of Fantasy Island. So he was in a lot of stuff, and weirdly he's the last person ever to be killed by John Wayne on screen in The Shootist.
Rustlers, hold it.
Duke.
Get the hell off my spread.
Out of ammo.
Well, I warned them.
Yeah, that I had heard.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And on top of it all, he's Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger's dad in Twins.
Yeah, I was going to say.
That's the most outrageous.
Modern audiences might know him from Twins.
Modern audiences 40 years ago should know him from Twins. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, Gen X should know him from Twins.
Yakety yak, yakety yak. Don't talk back.
But he's the character on the ship that, like, instantly they get into space and they're like, hey, we made it. And instantly he's the one that's like, oh.
Yeah.
They see a meteor goes by. He goes, I just wish it would have hit us.
He suddenly gets
like, it would be, he's all of a sudden, I hope we just die and get it over with.
I forget what it is,
this
but
is
something
too much.
sets him off. Oh, I know what it is. It's,
go ahead.
They miscalculate. The older scientist does. We suspect.
Yeah, I remember. But isn't he always kind of that way from the beginning when he got out into space? Or
No.
maybe it was after
because
that.
what happens is the guy doesn't listen to the woman. Her calculations are accurate. His aren't. So they use his and they end up getting blown off course. Okay. They're trying to go from the Earth to the moon. So that's what the point of this space mission is get us to the moon. Because XM stands for Exploration Moon.
Expedition. Oh, is it Expedition or Exploration
Moon?
Are you sure it's not Expedition Moon?
I am looking right at it.
I still want to say it's Expedition Moon, but that's all right.
Rocketship
Maybe it is
Exploration Moon. I'm looking right at it on the plot description.
All right. Yeah.
So they get knocked off course, and that's when this character you're talking about becomes like immediately nihilistic. And he's ready to just die. And he sounds like me and my brother on Facebook. He's just like, what's the point?
And meanwhile, Lloyd Bridges, all he's doing is giving his little impishly weird kind of leprechaun looking like smirk at the woman doctor the entire movie.
The whole time all he's doing is
I don't think does he ever get behind the wheel of anything?
He's the commander, but he spends most of his time flirting. He passes himself off as like a very understanding modern man, but he's just can't understand why a pretty girl like you would want to study numbers and not, have some kids.
Now, don't get mad at me, but can't you ever relax? All these weeks, months, I've been watching you. Nothing but work, work, work. Well, I've been wondering, how does a girl like you get mixed up in a thing like this in the first place?
I suppose you think that women should only cook and sew and bear children?
Isn't that enough? There's such a thing as going overboard in the other direction, too, yeah.
No, the best is Ray's like, because she's like, oh, I'm so tired, Steve. You know, she's got that kind of like voice. I could do these figures, but my head is so full of facts. Ooh, you know, or like when they're all laughing at like, you know, because they have no gravity.
Yeah.
And like Lloyd Bridges is like, hey, looks like we've got a stowaway. And the jacket is floating up. They're all laughing at like, ooh, the floating man. Ooh, you know, because it's the jacket floating around. And he looks at her and he's like, you don't think that shit's funny? She's like, there's nothing funny about it. It's just science or something like that. And he's like, oh, okay.
Which was like an instant turn on for me.
There's that one part where she's like, I need the plans that are under Dr. So-and-so under there. Because he's like passed out at the like console and his hands are, you know, he's passed out over him. And she's like, I really need those calculations. And he's like, oh, I'll get it for you. Like, this is a problem. Yeah. Just go over and take the shit.
Yeah. You know, it's so, like, it's just.
Oh, I don't want to wake him.
Very well-meaning old scientist man who just doesn't listen at all to his, who's obviously smarter student.
who he was just blasting all over to the press about how great she was, you know?
Yeah. But if we listened to her, we wouldn't have a movie. So what happens?
Yeah, meteors fly by.
Knock them all out.
They lose air or something.
No, they just, they get knocked out and then they're, you know, because they're not breathing as heavily while they're sleeping.
I thought the air, that's what I'm saying. They lose air and that knocks them out. I can't remember.
I think it happens at the same time and then they wake up. And plot twist, they basically end up on Mars. Now.
Yes, that's outrageous because it's
I'm
like
not making this
the whole
up.
thing is like, we're going to the moon and it's like, surprise, we're going to Mars.
Yeah. Now here's where we need to put a bookmark in things. And I want to discuss some stuff. Okay. So my favorite thing of all, like at first I like when they're in the ship and they can look out one window and they see the Earth. They look out the opposite window and there's the moon. Both are perfectly framed, lined up like
it's really good. But it looks cool.
Yeah,
I think it looks neat.
That's not the part. That sort of foreshadows. Okay. Then when they start heading towards Mars, there's a scene where they look out one window and see the moon and they look out the other and see Mars. And both are just as big in each window. Not knowing that by the time you were close enough to see Mars that big, the moon would be a speck.
It would be farther away.
But no, it still just looks like, oh, we went to the other side of the moon. Guess what we found? A whole other planet.
It's like, well, just go. If you can see the moon,
go back.
Go back to that. If you can see the moon, it's right there.
Here's the thing. This whole story takes place over the course of maybe 4 days. They get to the moon at the beginning. They're like, we can get to the moon in 48 hours. Close enough. It takes 3. So, not, I mean, they're a day off, but you know, they didn't know any better.
Not bad. They're projecting. They don't know.
Yeah, it's going to take you 3 days. So
it's 1950.
It's like what, driving from Michigan to LA. Okay.
We'll be there by tomorrow.
Yeah. But then they get knocked off course and wake up like 2 hours later and they're at Mars. It takes 9 months to reach Mars from Earth.
Oh, no. So if for real, it takes what?
In real life,
repeat that. Was that a fact?
Yes. In real life, it takes 9 months to get to Mars, give or take about 9 months. So
that's crazy.
This movie, which takes place in like 4 or 5 day span, they go from Earth, miss the moon, land on Mars. Then they discover an ancient civilization on Mars.
No, don't get too far ahead.
Then they leave Mars and head back and say they'll be there in 2 days. So this was all like a round trip of a week for these guys.
So it took me that long to go to Disney, drive to Disney World and back.
So they got that wrong. I don't mean to sound, I don't want to rub it in their face, but you're a little off on that one.
One of the things that was kind of a thing about this movie, or a gimmick, was that the Mars sequences were going to be like tinted red, and they are for this version, but a lot of times it wasn't. They didn't get it all. Like it wasn't until someone in the 70s got the rights to release it and hired people like Dennis Muren to work on it too. Like back in like, I think it was like 77 or something. Like, but yeah, it's like they refilmed certain things like with footage that I guess Bob Burns had something to do with. Yeah. And you can't really tell, although I guess what they did was kind of flesh out during all the footage, because this movie was rushed into production because basically the makers of this movie found out that George Pal was making Destination Moon, which is our second movie. The reason we're not talking about that one first is because when Rocketship XM found out about that movie, they rushed this movie into production to get it out first, and they beat it by like 25 days to the theater.
So one was done first, but not released first. The other was really done second and released first.
Yeah.
What was on second?
It was incoherent. So like some of these newer shots, I guess, clear up some of the cutting back and forth. But the weird thing about this movie is it's about these people that go into space. They go to the moon. They accidentally end up on Mars, where a bunch of old tribe Martian cavemen chuck rocks at them, and then they get back in their ship and fly away. It's like, that's really what this movie is about. I don't know if we should reveal the end.
I mean, come on. It's...
but these people might want to see it. Someone might want to see it. Do you think it damages any? I don't think it really damages any kind of like, ooh, whoa. But let's just say it's kind of a bleaker movie than I thought it would be.
Okay, hold on. I got thrown off because all right, this just in, Rick. This is breaking news, but you were correct. And it's Rocketship Expedition Moon.
Yeah, that's right. Don't sleep on Rick Reed.
Yep, somebody fucked up on on the source I was looking at.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's well known that this movie is actually, if not the first, it's one of the first, probably the first movies to deal directly with the effects of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So this movie was intended to be a reaction to that. And so it is a message movie. And the twist at the end is sort of Planet of the Apes-ish in a way, because it's, they dropped the bomb.
We could do this to ourselves.
Or we already have.
And I like it because at the end, I mean, let's just say it doesn't work out for everybody on the crew.
No.
I did like when they're like waiting to get back in contact with Earth so they can relay what they found, and as a warning. And the doctor that's been at Mission Control that was best friends with the doctor, he's getting the message. And it's kind of neat that they just show his face and just reacting. You don't hear what's being said to him. I don't know. It's kind of stylish, a little somber.
That was my favorite shot in the movie because I like how it.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
And then it
just was a good moment.
It pans over as he's talking, and you just see his silhouette, and it just I think this is a well-made movie. I think the effects are pretty good for its budget and time. It did have a budget of $95,000, which nowadays would be roughly a little over $1 million. So I'm guessing that's not bad.
It's very low budget.
It's low budget, but not bad.
No, it's like I said, it's very stylish. The look is great.
The highlight of this movie is the fact that it pulls no punches and it goes bleak. Like, it's definitely a downer movie of the kind we wouldn't really see again in much until the 70s, where you could no longer trust filmmakers to let your heroes live. This was one of those that isn't afraid to just be like, well, yeah, that's not going to work out. But that's kind of what was one of the great ethical issue or sort of moral ambiguities at the time, which we did see recently in the Oppenheimer film, where, is it better for us to build it and have it rather than those guys? Because those guys are kind of scary. So if somebody's going to do it, it should probably be us.
Mm-hmm.
But are we as responsible as we think we are? That's kind of what I got out of the ending, which is what I think is the moral conundrum you'll see in a lot of these atomic age movies is we did this and, it couldn't be used for bad, but let's use it for good. But then who watches the watcher? It's like, well, who sets the rules? Are you the only one that's really capable of holding on to it? Or is this guy maybe a little better at it than you? No, I'm better. Well, he says he's better. So you'll see that a lot come up. And I think this movie definitely sets the template for that. It might be a little heavy handed, but I think that was just the style back then. So I like it. I love the bleakness.
No, I like that ending too. I think it's a pretty good movie. We didn't touch on who wrote the movie, actually, and it's kind of noteworthy because
it was written by 3 people, but only 2 got credit for it.
Yeah, but one of the people being Dalton Trumbo.
Yes, Dalton Trumbo did a draft of this script, but was blacklisted around this time.
A huge figure among what happened during the blacklist.
I'm sure you've seen the Bryan Cranston film.
Oh, there was one, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was
with him. That's right.
There's a lot of films back then that you'll see his name on that he was unfortunately uncredited for because he was suspected of being a pinko commie. This movie was actually not nominated for any Oscars, if you can believe it, but it was nominated for the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation. Now, if you're not as familiar with the Hugos, we're going to hear them a lot. The Hugos are kind of the Oscar of the science fiction genre. They go to books, movies, TV. They've been doing them since, I think, the late 40s. So a Hugo Award for a science fiction writer or filmmaker is actually kind of like a Bram Stoker award for a horror writer or a Fango Chainsaw award for a horror. Like, that's the one you really want
80s horror director.
Because it's chosen by the fans. There's no, it's not like the Oscars where it's a broad array of things. This is for the fans. And, it'd be one of those like, I'd rather have a Hugo than an Oscar. I mean, I am just saying that. I don't know if anybody has ever said that at any time in history, but I'm saying it. So this movie was nominated for Best Dramatic Presentation, which was, of course, the nomination went to Kurt Neumann, Dalton Trumbo, and Orville H. Hampton. So probably it didn't win. It doesn't have at least that under its belt or on its mantle. Do you ever think about when a movie wins a Best Picture or something that the movie itself has the award,
has the Oscar,
and you go over to the movie's house?
I actually think that,
and it's just like this sentient screen walking around, constantly showing that movie with arms.
No, I think of that a lot, actually.
You're just thinking of,
and then the movie looks at me and says, "Would you like a drink?"
Yeah, like Dances with Wolves.
I won this.
Dances with Wolves is still sitting around having drinks with Rain Man. Like they just hang out.
We have a friend who once dressed for Halloween with a piece of cardboard around him and just scribbly lines everywhere. And what are you? And he was Dune. He was the idea of Dune.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
okay.
That's so stupid, but it's funny. No, it's hilarious.
It's so dumb, but I like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, it's no more dumb than Dances with Wolves having an Oscar.
That's true. Well, no.
I mean, come on.
I'm not that much of a revisionist. It's definitely not as good as Goodfellas, but I don't know. Whatever.
I don't mean that. I mean the movie having an Oscar. Like you just were talking about. No, you idiot.
The literary and figurative.
Yes, I was still talking about movies actually having awards, like you had suggested.
Literal and figurative. That's a perfect example right there, folks, of both.
Okay, so what's the final word? I like it.
Yeah,
I give it I give it 3 stars. 3 out of 5.
Yeah, I would basically give 3 stars, somewhere between 2.5 and 3 stars, which isn't bad. 3 stars for me basically means, it's not too bad, or it's fine. That's a 3-star movie to me. Like pretty much any movie Ron Howard makes is fine.
It's all right.
They're fine.
It's fine.
They're good. Okay, they are. It's a fine, good piece of entertainment.
It's solid is what it is.
It's a solid 3-star movie.
Yes.
Okay.
Ronnie Solid Howard is what they used to call him.
It's just
even on the set of Andy Griffith's show, you could hear Don Knotts yelling around the set, "Hey, Ronnie Solid Howard, let's go take Thelma to a picture show."
Which means when he does excel, they're really damn good, which he's done a couple times.
Yes.
So as an example and a for instance, that's when I say a movie's 3 stars. It's not too bad. It's fine.
But the flight must be considered a failure.
Failure? No, gentlemen. The flight of the RXM was not a failure. Tomorrow we start construction of RXM-2.
Rocketship XM is available on DVD, Amazon streaming.
1 minute left to top off the evening with a treat from our snack bar. Still time if you hurry. Last call for refreshments, folks.
This is Rick, and on behalf of the crew of the LEXAPROTEUS IV, I just wanted to say thank you. The importance of you listening to our show is of extraordinary magnitude. So please like, share, talk about it to your friends, post a comment, anything you would normally do on social medias. You have our gratitude. If you write a review, we'll read it on the air. And once again, smash, hit, whatever the kids say, all the like buttons, and help us defeat Algorithm, the Dark Lord of the universe. Tune in next week for an all-new mission, Destination Moon.
Hamburger.